One of my favorite video game genres would have to be survival horror. The survival horror genre consists of great titles like Dead Space, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, Alien Isolation, Outlast, and many others. Although I would argue that it all stems back to Capcom's Resident Evil series. The first Resident Evil game was released in 1996, and since then around 22 titles have come out as part of the franchise. While Resident Evil really pioneered an entire genre with some of its games, others fall flat. Not long after the release of Resident Evil 4, which is arguably the best title the franchise has ever released, in 2005, things began to go downhill for the Resident Evil series. That is, of course, until Capcom gave the series a fresh start with the Resident Evil 7 Biohazard in 2017. Resident Evil 7 draws a lot of inspiration from Resident Evil 1, and while Resident Evil 1 will always be a classic, Resident Evil 7 is a much better, more refined version of what RE1 attempted to be. Resident Evil 1 tells the story of one of two members of an elite police task force investigating strange reports regarding a mansion in the mountains near a large city called Raccoon City. The entirety of the game takes place on the mansion grounds and is centered on you discovering what happened to the other members of your team who you were separated from, as well as getting to the bottom of what was happening in the mysterious mansion. While the game is supposed to be about surviving zombies and other creatures like snakes, spiders, plant monsters, and biologically engineered monster creatures, it is really about puzzles and walking. You have 6 inventory spaces for the whole game, meaning if you carry 2 guns and have ammo for them, you only have 2 inventory spaces. And if you're a sane human being, you will also carry a singular health item at all times. This leaves you with just 1 free inventory space. There's no discarding items unless you are one of the item storage boxes that are in certain areas of the map. Constantly having 1 free space in your inventory means you'll be doing a lot of running back and forth to these boxes. Now, a lot of the progression is based off of finding certain items and using them to unlock doors or other objects to get you where you need to go. If you add the puzzle system with the walking back and forth, it equals me taking 70 hours to beat the game. Now, that wouldn't be nearly as bad if it hadn't only taken me 45 seconds to beat the final boss. Oh, and saving the game requires you to find a specific item of which there are a limited number of in the game, so it's possible to accidentally save too many times before the game ends, and making it so that you can no longer save your progress. Resident Evil 7 follows the story of Ethan Winters, who goes searching for his wife who had been presumed dead until sending him a message around 2 years after her disappearance. You find her. Unfortunately, she's crazy and cuts her hand off with a chainsaw. This leads you to being trapped in a mansion with a psychotic family and some mold creatures. The mansion concept is but one of the concepts pulled directly from RE1. The storage box system is the same, and they mimic the puzzle system. However, there are far fewer, less complicated puzzles, and more of an even balance between the puzzle solving and backtracking and the action. The boss fights in RE7 actually provide a bit of a challenge and are more similar to those of Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 4. Saving the game no longer requires an item and can be done as many times as necessary. This is, of course, unless you are playing the appropriately named Madhouse mode, which is the hardest difficulty and does include an item-based saving mechanism. In regards to the inventory system, equipped items are counted outside the rest of your inventory slots, and on top of that you can upgrade your inventory as the game goes on. The game flows much more fluidly, and in my first attempt only took about 7 hours. If RE1 was the starting point for survival horror genre, then RE7 is the genre reimagined.